Who does?
You do.
Oh, I do. Okay.
Yeah.
Got someone back there already taking care of me. Thank you so much. If I end up going too long, I'm gonna designate you to just be like, okay.
We'll just start throwing things at you. How about
Oh, don't do
that?
that, please. It's recording. I don't want anything thrown at me.
No.
Well, good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Great.
Good.
All right, so we got our second round in this because we got some chocolate coming into our bodies, and so it's going to help us carry us for your next presentation. I want to say thank you first off, real quick, to Chanel for inviting me out here. I really appreciate it. I was when she sent an email, and I was like, oh, I want to do it, but I don't know if I can. And then it came out, and I was like, my wife was like, just schedule it. We'll figure it out. And I was like, okay. And then we were able to do it, so I'm really happy to be here. I do want to take a minute real quick of silence because there's been a lot of travesty going on. We've had some hurricanes that have affected friends and family and people, and we've also had earthquakes happening in Mexico that have been really damaging. So if you all will just join me in a moment of silence, please.
Mhm.
Thank you guys. I appreciate that. So today what I want to talk to you about is impromptu speaking. Okay? I want to ask you a question. How many of you have had to speak in public with zero preparation? Me too. Is it fun to do that? Really? You don't think so? I'm definitely in the minority when I think about that then, right? It's not challenging at all. I mean, it is challenging, very much so. So let me ask you, what makes it challenging for you? So this is going to be some questions I'll ask you that I will prepare you. I do expect some response back to some of my questions. Later on, I have an activity that I'm going to expect for you guys to respond to as well. So what makes public speaking for you, what makes it difficult or challenging?
What are you going to say, basically?
It's a surprise. What do you have to say?
Like, if they put me in front, I had no preparation, like, what am I going to say? Like, if it's an audience of IT folks, I might have to think of something, but if it's an audience of senior citizens, what am I going to say? I mean, it depends.
So do you find we are IT professionals in here, so let's zero in on that. When you're in a room asked to give maybe a report out on something that you've been working on or associated with, and you weren't prepared to give any kind of report out, is that kind of a scenario that exists for you all? Is it challenging?
Yeah.
What makes things helpful for you to speak in public, whether it's a group of your own personal teams that you work with, or maybe there's people from other teams and higher ups who are in those meetings? What makes it easier to talk?
Knowing that you're gonna talk,
Preparation.
knowing
My
our
knowledge
audience.
of whatever the subject is.
Yeah,
It's
know
not
your
a
audience,
subject.
what they want to hear,
Yeah.
having all your outlines, metrics, being prepared.
You know who you're gonna talk to.
Yeah.
Like, even if it's sprung on you, then can be a little easier, because you know the people in the group.
So then it wasn't a good idea to ask you all to speak up just now, right? I'm joking with you. I'm joking, kind of. It is very challenging for us to have to be put on the spot all of a sudden without any preparation and then give a response, whether it be some random situation in a nursing home. Don't find myself there often, but it can happen.
I will do this.
I keep telling my children they better put me in a nice nursing home. That's why I'm giving them good schooling right now.
Yep.
Or if we are in an area where people we know and topics that we understand, it can still be a little bit uncomfortable and challenging to have to speak up, right? You know, the stereotype is when we have IT work, IT professionals, is we tend to like to keep our heads in our computers, and that we know how to do, and we're just okay doing that. But when it has to come with interpersonal communication, relationships, that's not as easy as clicking the buttons and making it do what we want to do, right? So what I have figured out is that impromptu speaking is a challenge. We're going to pass all this real quick here in a second. I figured out that there's some tools that I have that I want to share with you all that I think can help you out when you are put in situations for speaking with no preparation. Okay? We see examples of when we speak in these scenarios. These are the settings. These are just a couple other ones outside of our work relationships, right? When you get to meet someone new, there's a lot of conversation going on, you're not sure what you're talking about. That's a form of impromptu speaking because you're not sure what kind of conversation you're about to have. You're just asking questions back and forth and seeing what's going on. There are Q&A sometimes. I think, again, with the IT industry, you have a product you're delivering and you have an organization or an audience of people who are going to be using it, and you hope you're prepared for as much of the questions as possible. But a lot of times you might be asked questions from left field, and you're just kind of like, that's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
Next, you know. So these are some of those are some of the environments that we are in when it comes to impromptu speaking. I'm going to get you to a place that brings you from what do I say and how do I say it to a place where you feel like this guy over here, where you're like, okay, never mind, I got this, I'm good to go. I tell people that there are speaking styles that exist that we're going to go over a few of them here today. The idea is that you would gravitate to one or two. You would use that style to be able to answer any type of question that exists. Okay? You'll see some of the styles on here. These aren't all of them, but these are some that I like to talk about. Okay? And we're going to do an example here in a second so you can see what I'm talking about. My favorite here, where you see with the asterisk, is past, present, and future. But rather than kind of explain it a little bit, I want to show you how it works out. So I'm going to ask for Laurie. I would like for you to pick a topic, any topic in the entire universe. Just say the word or phrase or whatever the topic is.
Wildfires.
Excellent. Let me get Mark, if you would please ask me a question about wildfires. Any question that you can think of in the entire universe.
How do you fight them?
How do you fight them? Give me 1 second. Mark, I really appreciate you asking me that question. I know it can be a challenge. In the past, I've heard a lot about what wildfires can do. I've seen on the news, I've seen movies that describe how wildfires are really intense, and there's a lot of property damage that happens. There's people who get stuck and they lose their lives on that kind of thing. Some of the news articles that I've read in the past have shown how we have first responders who go in and they put their lives on the line for us. And all I can think about when I think of wildfires is how intense they are, and that it's never a good thing when they're around. Being here in Bloomington Normal today, I still have never experienced the situation of being in a wildfire. And I hope I never will. You know, I do think it's important to be prepared though, so I'm hoping that with my kids, we've talked about a fire plan, and I hope that if anything ever happened like that close to us, my family is prepared with our own fire plan and executing it. So thank you for that question. So the idea is you don't need to know, sometimes you don't need to know about the topic. You just need to know what your experience, your observations, your understanding of that topic is, and you can apply one of these speaking styles to it. Mine is always, my favorite is the past, present, and future. So usually when I'm put on the spot, I take my experiences or my observations and I think about what I remember in my past that has to deal with that. And then I apply it to the present, what today is relevant for that. And then I think about, is there anything that I can do in the future that brings that topic into play? So even though I wasn't prepared, I didn't ask Lori to say wildfire earlier. Although that you work in fire now, it should have connected. I just thought about that. So.
You're talking about the earthquakes and the hurricanes. I was
Yeah.
like, wildfires.
Okay. But it could have been any. Or mascara. That would have been a good one, actually. I don't know what would have come of that, but that would have been good. The point is, though, is that any topic, I was prepared for any topic and any type of question about that topic, I feel like I can answer. I wish I could say definitively, wholeheartedly, that I can do it 100% of the time, but I can, so I'm gonna say 99.99%. Let's look at something else. The before and after speaking style is another easy one, where you take whatever the question or the topic is, and you're able to say, well, before this implemented, this is the environment that it existed in. And so because of that, we had some experiences where customers weren't happy about something. And now we're moving to an area or to a product that helps us resolve that, and that the customer has excellent experiences. So the before and after, you're just painting the picture of before and after. Some of this sounds mundane, but believe it or not, we don't really think about when we make our responses in putting them in one of these styles right here. The benefit we get to this is that instead of being on an ocean and kind of wondering where the wind's coming and where the boat's going to go, this would be your boat, and your response, you're the experts, your response gets put in that boat, and you get to where you want to go. A lot of times we get confused, we don't know how to respond, we're looking at our notes, we're trying to shuffle and make up for time and things like that. So for me, for example, when I am asked these questions, it's easy because I have my boat already done. My boat or my architecture or framework, whatever you want to call it, is already there and it exists. All it needs is to be filled with the expertise knowledge that I carry about my topic. It's the same for each of you. Whatever you're experts in your field, or whenever you're in this rooms where you're trying to answer the same questions, you learn about one of these speaking styles, and that way you're always prepared to respond accordingly, and you're never going to feel like you're caught off guard. And you're always going to be looked at by your peers and your superiors as though you're the one who knows what you're talking about. And a lot of times, it's I got to admit, in the meetings that I've been in the past where I didn't know the product, I may have asked a question because I'm just genuinely curious. If they told me something bizarre about it, there's no way for me to verify it. But the fact that they just answer with quickness, with poise, there's not a lot of pauses, it seems like they know what they're talking about, I trust it. If you gravitate to one of these speaking styles, you can command the same type of respect, and your peers and your superiors will observe you and think, wow, they know what they're talking about. There's a little bit more clap behind it. Problem and solution. You describe what the problem is, you state what the solution is going to be. Alternative viewpoints. You know, that's interesting about wildfires. I know that I've met people who've said that wildfires are useful when they're trying to take care of their crops, but I know people who probably have never dealt with wildfires and that would be really scary for them. Advantages and disadvantages. Well, again, using the same question. Well, I know that the advantages to wildfires is that it can invigorate the soil. It helps the plants grow again. I've seen it. I've never participated in it, but I know it's there. Now, the downside to it is it's fire. It's like a wild animal. You know, it's when you see those people in the zoo who are putting their hands in the alligator, you're like, don't do that. What are you thinking? Oh my! And so then when the thing snaps on their hand, you're like, I told you not to do that. It's kind of the same thing with fire. It's like, why would you play with fire? As kids, we were taught, don't play with fire. Advantages, disadvantages. I'm not going to go further more in here because I want to get forward and we can do some of the questions that I have out there. I did give you each a paper that you see has these down so that you would kind of have a mental note with it, because I'm going to move forward to some questions here in a moment. What's going to happen here is we're going to do something that in Toastmasters we do. It's called table topics. Table topics gives us an opportunity to put into practice what we learn and speak off the cuff. So today, I have some questions. You get the secret, the benefit you all get is that you're going to be able to see all the questions that I've written out. What you don't know is which question you're going to be asked. In Toastmasters, you pick a number, we read you the question. But since you can see the questions today, you're going to just say, you're going to volunteer. I'm going to give you a number for the question to ask. And then I would like you to attempt to use one of the speaking styles you just learned about to answer the question. remember, we're not here so that you can be perfect. This is a safe environment. We all are friends. We're not going to be criticized. We may laugh a little bit, which is fine. But this is a great environment to practice these speaking styles. Are you with me? So with that said, who here would like to go at it first? I'd rather hear volunteers than being voluntold, so. Okay. Remind me your name?
Kira.
Kira. Thank you. Go easy on. You can see these questions. You tell me, are any of these? All right. How about we do? Okay. Number 4. Kira, who do you look up to?
Do I have to stand up?
Yes.
I'm gonna.
Okay.
Why don't you stand right over here then?
Famous hero.
Who do I look up to? Pretty much everyone. You see how short I am.
Good one.
I would say I probably look up to people that have done good things for our world in general. I don't have a particular name in mind, so that's the only bad thing. Once you name one, you feel like you've left everybody else out.
That's fine.
Very bad at this.
Don't worry about it. So, which speaking style did you use?
I do not remember.
That's okay. Can I borrow your sheet real quick?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the question again.
Okay.
Look at the sheet and look at the speaking styles. And then respond when you figure out one
This
that
is really difficult.
feels good. All right, Kira, here you go. You don't have to answer quickly. Take your time. Who do you look up to?
I have in the past looked up to my parents. And now I look up to people that I see volunteering in the world.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Kira.
That's the terrible table. I joined Toastmasters for a little bit because I'm a terrible speaker, but you just never know what topic you'll get. I was actually in a wedding where I was surprised by the DJ to give the speech of the maid of honor.
wow.
Because the real maid of honor was pregnant and she was sitting in the, at a regular table, so the best man gave a very elegant speech about how the bride's father and the groom's father had passed away. And everybody was like, had tears. And then they're like, and now a word for the maid of honor. And they handed me the mic and I'm like, oh, I love you guys. Good luck. It was as good as I answered this just now.
It's never enjoyment to be put on the spot like this, right? I think we can all agree with that. The idea with doing it today and here and now is to get introduced to it. Like I said earlier,
Yes.
we're not expecting perfection today, but this is a safe environment. These are your peers. These are your teammates here, and you're going to get nothing but positive feedback about this. There's nothing you did wrong there. Don't look at it as a wrong or right type of thing. With anything that we want to get good in, we have to practice. So this is just a first step to try a lesson you just learned today. Okay, who would like to go next? Chatan?
Sure.
All right. Chatan, you have your paper with you?
He's an expert.
Don't worry.
So, I did miss a instruction earlier. So Chatan, when I read you your question, you're gonna pick one of your speaking styles to try out. But we out here, we're gonna try to figure out which speaking style Chatan used. Okay? All right, Chatan. Are you ready? If you could change society in one way, what would you change?
Our society, we can see a lot of things that we want to fix. We all agree what can we change. Some as a kid, some you might have wondered that if we can grow wings, or if we can fly, or if we can have Spider-Man-like power. We all thought that. But talking about society, if there is anything that I could change, I would change the poverty. Poverty means not by the, I'm not talking about the monetary value, I'm talking about everyone gets food, everyone gets clean water, and everyone has shelter. I'm not talking about everyone has cars, or everyone has air conditioner, or even everyone has electricity. Because if you have food and water, you are able to survive, and a house to live in, you are able to survive, and you can build upon that. You don't have to fight just to survive. After that, there is no end to your luxury. So that's what I would do.
Thank you. Stay up here for a second. Would anyone like to guess which speaking style Chatan used?
Problem and solution.
Everyone else agree with him?
That's what I thought.
Political.
Okay. Chatan, was that correct?
So I thought I did before and after, but what you said looks correct.
Good, no problem. Take a seat. Again, just testing out our style. Just testing out a style. It's okay. Laurie, come up now. Come up now. That's the way it sounded. That was really weird, wasn't it? Come up now, Laurie.
You're the next contestant.
Yeah.
AITP.
Okay. Are you ready for your question? Sure? Okay, here we go. Share one or two good experiences you've had so far today.
I'm gonna do the same thing as picking, yeah, I have to work.
That's
on
okay,
this.
you get time to
But I'm
pick
doing the
yours.
same thing, I
Yes,
decide,
you do-
but I don't
yes.
say it out loud, okay. It's like pick a card, but don't tell me what it was.
Right.
Got it. Yeah.
I'll read the question while you're still looking, just to kind of help your thoughts. Share one or two good experiences you've had so far today.
Can I have a different question?
I guess we don't have good experience.
Can we modify it to say bad experiences?
How about we change it a little bit then for you? We'll stick with the question.
Okay.
Share one or two good experiences you've had in your life.
Oh.
Come on.
Okay, okay, so like Kira, I thought this was gonna be a lot easier than it was once you're up here. Okay, so okay, so I would say that the best experience I've had in my life, one or two of the best experiences I've had in my life so far, was getting a college education and being able to afford it and, pay for it myself, and then the benefit I've gotten out of that, because a lot of people, especially now, thanks to baby boomers, millennials are not able to afford a good college education and not be, burdened by student loan debt for the rest of their lives. And I think that in addition to what Chatan said about food and water, education is another basic right that if everybody has, we're all better for it. So that's an experience that I've had that's a good experience that I think everyone should have the opportunity to
Excellent. All right, class.
Yeah.
What style do you see Laura use?
Problem solution.
Alternative.
Alternative.
Before and
I thought it was past.
What of each?
Do I have a loud, concise one that we want to go with?
Alternate viewpoints.
Problem solution?
Alternative.
badge is this available?
Seems like it'd fit in both places.
Yeah.
It could, yes, and that is, that is okay. As observers, we're assuming we know, right? But until we ask the speaker, which was it?
Well, I tried to turn it into a political
Mm.
answer instead of just like, oh man, college was so much fun. I had best friends and everything. I tried to turn it into it was the best experience for me, and economically, socially, it's
Right, because you piggybacked a little bit from
yeah.
Sean also saying that it was included in the poverty topics that he had chosen.
Yeah.
So yeah, it actually works there
It
too.
fits in all of them.
But and it again, normally when you're an audience member, you're not looking at your speaker and figuring out which speaking style they use. The speaking style is more for you as a speaker. You can go ahead and sit down.
Phrase
Thank
your,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, to help you phrase. Do we have time for another one or two more still, or are we looking? Okay, excellent. Who would like to go next? Go, Mike.
Way to go, Paul.
Take your paper so you can.
Take one,
Oh,
two.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, I have a smaller, no,
Oh, you.
I'm just joking.
All right. Awesome. That's a good one for you. If you could meet anyone in the world, past, present, or future, who would it be and why? If you could meet anyone in the world, past, present, or future, who would it be and why?
Does it mean I have to use the past, present, and future?
No, it doesn't.
Well, that would
Well-
work its way in pretty well.
Well, I would like to meet Mother Teresa. Now, Saint Teresa of Calcutta, she's kind of nice. And the reason is because it's just her simplicity of faith and simplicity in everything. And speaking of poverty, she talked about poverty. But when she came to the United States of America, she saw great poverty, the poverty of spirit. And I think, we're all so, as far as faith and morals and values, I mean, America compared to other countries is very, very rich. But as far as faith and morals, are we really that rich compared to other countries? I don't think so. Because other countries, I mean, they may be dirt poor, but they're happy because they have faith that everything's gonna be okay. Whereas we may drive our Cadillacs and our Acuras, whatever, but we still can be miserable because we may have all the material things in the world, but we're miserable because we don't really care about what really matters. And so Mother Teresa was teaching us, I mean, she worked with the poorest of the poor, but yet she had something to teach all of us. And it's just, I'm such a great admirer of Mother Teresa. In fact, I got to name my second child after her. My wife got to name the first child, I got to name the second child. So I named her after Mother Teresa, so her name's Teresa. And so, she's her patron saint. So I'm just a great admirer. And just a small story, I heard it, and I was telling you, Jatan, about someone gave a speech about, okay, if you do something nice for people, but they go ahead and they don't appreciate it, or they treat you nasty, do it anyway, and all this stuff. In fact, Martina McBride has a song on it anyway. And so I was wondering, I didn't know who said this until I was on a retreat at what is called Nazareth House now in Henry. Anyway, and I was just praying about it. All of a sudden, I'm like, something told me open the drawer. So I opened the drawer, and there was this poem that this person read called Anyway, and it was, the author was Mother Teresa. And I'm like, what a coincidence. No, God knows. Anyway, that's why I'm such a, I would be Mother Teresa, so.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone want to take a crack at which style he used?
Alternative viewpoints.
Geographical influences? Okay. Do we all agree with that, or?
I couldn't hear what he said.
It's a geographic.
Oh, geographic.
Alternative
Yeah.
viewpoints.
But I like almost social though.
You thought alternative viewpoints?
Or social.
Or social? Okay.
Social geographic.
What did you choose?
That's an advantage.
I, political, economic, or social.
Okay,
I was trying to hit all that.
that's fine. Okay, excellent job. One more, or are we? Okay, thank you. Excellent, so. You're like, bye-bye. So, remember your styles. I printed out a sheet so that you can look at these and you can figure out which one is a better fit for you. There's not going to be any one that could be better than the others. There might be one that's better suited for a certain environment. There's one that may be suited for another environment. My suggestion to you all is to at least start with one and use that to build upon. Then it's all about practicing. Talk about practice. You go into your meetings tomorrow and you begin using your speaking style to see how it works out for you. It's okay if it doesn't work out right the first time or the second. The goal is to just keep practicing it. And I will make sure that I leave my information for you guys. If you have any questions or you're wanting to practice over the phone these styles with me, I am never opposed to doing some mock questions. There's still a whole lot of questions that I didn't get to. We can go through those things. Okay? So I would like to thank you all. I really appreciate this opportunity. I hope you all learned something. And if there's anything else, just let me know. Thank you.